So I'm going to try to do something different. Mother's Day is tomorrow, and I'm going to use this flower here to try to do some ultraviolet fluorescent photography. So you do need a couple things. Obviously for UV light, you're going to need a UV light source. So I have 4 of these. They're Convoy S2 Pluses, UV lights. And you can get them on Amazon or directly from the site. They were about $25 a piece when I got them. The price has gone up a little bit, but anytime you're working with UV light, you want UV glasses. So these are special to protect your eyes from the UV light. So we'll have those on. And then I do have my 24 to 120 and a couple extension tubes to kind of play around with my compositions. And then you need your subject. So these are going to be my subject, the flowers. They are Kurigami. I've never seen anything like them before, but they kind of look like butterflies. Not all flowers will give you the effect that you're going for. So some are pretty bland. So some will kind of almost look exactly the same. Others will completely change how they look. And typically pollen will fluoresce very nicely. So when I was looking for these plants, I was going after ones with pollen. These were actually the only ones that had it. So hopefully the fluorescent works with it. So I'm in the bathroom. So you might want to clean before you turn on UV lights in the bathroom in the dark. And the reason I'm here is because I want everything to be black. And any ambient light will bleed into your scene, and we only want the fluorescence. So although these lights aren't the perfect example for creating UV light, they'll be good enough for what we're trying to do. Because we're not doing science, we're trying to create art or create a Mother's Day image. Another thing I have is some plastic black. It's corrugated plastic, but this can be for another project, but this will give me a black background, I want the flower to pop and have the black background, kind of like my snowflake images. So this will help with that and ease the editing process. So let's go try to set this all up. I'm going to go straight on first. That'll be my first composition, just straight on the nicest looking flower. So this will be the first composition here. Again, it's just going to be straight onto the pollen. Probably do a square crop in on it, and then what we're going to do is move the flashlights in and around and kind of shine it. I don't have enough stands to have them all. You would have a couple stands and then you can do it. I do have one that I'll use, and then I'll just move them with my hands to try to basically light paint the flower. Obviously you don't want to hit it. You'll move the flowers, and this is going to be a long exposure, 2 to 5 seconds probably. We'll see how much light we'll need. I'm shooting at f13 to try to get everything in focus, and I'm going to bump the ISO up a little bit too. So I'm probably ready to start taking some test shots and see how this turns out. 2 seconds, f16, ISO 400, 2-second timer, and then again light paint in. I'm going to use these two and frame it like that. And then we're going to do the same thing, and the settings should be pretty much the same. I'll have a little bit more area to cover with the two bulbs and the two flowers. So I might up it to 3 seconds, or you can play around and see. I like that one. So I did bump it up to 5 seconds to kind of get me the coverage on both of the flowers.
I absolutely love how this image came out, and it's the one I used for my Mother's Day post. Here's the non-UV version for comparison.
So we've been focusing on the flowers, but if you go to the leaves, you can get some pretty interesting colors on the leaves, especially the stems, especially with this one. So, let's see if I can frame something up there, but this bulb here, that pup, is like almost red in the light. And that's this guy that's green. And obviously the leaves are green. So I'm gonna try to see if I can isolate that one.
I wasn't able to frame it to a pleasing composition, but here's an image to illustrate the extreme in color shift under the UV that can occur. Here's a blooper image while trying to shoot that. One, you can see the flashlights in the upper right, as well I hit the plant, creating motion blur.
So we're framed up on a third hand tool. Kind of get a composition like that. I kind of like these little dangly things. I'm sure there's a name for them, but I have my 20mm extension tube in at 120. My scene, composition. I'll probably drop, this was for the wider one, so I'll probably drop that down to 4 seconds, and then ISO 400, and then shut the light to. I think that one turned out well. I really like the second composition I got as well, so I'll keep playing around with here if I come out with any others. Maybe even do some tomorrow as well. But happy Mother's to the Mother's Days, belated, because this is going to come out after Mother's Day, because Mother's Day is tomorrow. So it's the next day, we're still working on the flowers, just might as well because we have them, don't put them to waste. I was pretty happy with especially 2 of the images that I shot yesterday. I'm just going to kind of work on a little bit different today. So this scene, I'm going to do it a little bit different. It's somewhat the composition, get it before the battery dies. And then I have my goose arm pointing it into the bulb, and instead of just me moving the flashlights around, I'll have some continuous light on it. I only have one of them. I'll get the black background really well because we'll just have the light on that one spot. So we'll shut it, turn off the lights, and it glows. And then we'll do 2 seconds, f16, ISO 400. I'm pretty sure I have an extension tube in here at my full distance. And then we're gonna play with this. It's invisible ink. This is like a tealy color, bluish. And then we'll put it in a syringe and drop it on the background. So I dripped a bunch of the ultraviolet liquid on my black sheet here. Then you light it up, and then kind of adds any element to it. I went down to f4 for this to give the bokeh a little bit, make it a little bit bigger. And then obviously I went down to base ISO, and then 1 second.
I don't like the composition of this one for a few reasons. The lack of ink in the middle, which forced me to include the drips on the edge, which off balances everything. But it does show the potential and a lot of room for experiment.
So I put drops on the flower, and I might have went too crazy with that. So that one was definitely too crazy. So I'm gonna go a little bit more subtle here. My frame in there. And my flower. So what I'm gonna do is put a drop in the very base of the flower and have my light shining directly onto it. And then hopefully I'll create a glow around the whole flower. That'll be different than just the UV light. So I'm gonna go drop that in right now. Well, I don't know if that one turned out either. Again, a little bit too aggressive. So it was blowing out the highlights. So I exposure blend, and this will be the result. But again, like, you can play around with this quite a bit, and composition wise, artistic-y wise.
This image actually came out better than I expected. There's a decent amount of potential with invisible inks and UV lights for photography. I've tried freezing soap bubbles, though getting them to freeze was a challenge. Another fun one is dropping them into water, which I'll probably do a full video for in the future, but there are plenty of plants out there to experiment with as well. Thanks for watching.